nafs. The scholars have said that nafs is the combination of all the desires that are inside of man. The desires of humans could be good, and the desires could be bad. So if you say that I want to pray all 5 times a day, it is a good desire, and it is present in humans in men. If you want to say that, okay, I'm going to help those people who are poor and who are needy, it is a good desire, and this desire is also present in humans. If you want to say that, okay, I will do khidmat of my parents, this is also a good desire, and again, this desire is present in humans. The way good desires are present in humans, bad desires are also present in humans. If somebody says that I want to drink alcohol, it is a bad desire, it's present in humans. If somebody says that I want to fornicate, it is a bad desire, again, it is present in humans. If somebody says that I want to steal and lie, again, it is a bad desire. It is present in humans. So good desires are also present in humans. Bad desires are also present in humans. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَالْأَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. Successful is the one who purifies his desires. Purifying the desire, according to the Quran, is going to lead us to success. And the reality is that Jannah is also for those people who have purified their desires. ذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ مَنْ تَزَكَّى. Allah says in the Quran that this Jannah is the reward for those who have purified their desires. So it is not an optional thing. But okay, fine, I have these many desires, and all these bad desires, and I can live with them forever, and it is okay. These desires have to be dealt with. The thing is that not all of us have the same desires. Some people have different types of desires, and some people have other types of desires. A lot of people have desire for this world and the things of the world. The scholars have said that the desire for the things of the world are more present in women than in men. For example, desires for clothing, desire for decorations, desire for jewelry, desire for homes. All these things, although they are present in men, but they are more prevalent in women. So some people have this desire, and this is also not a small desire. In the eyes of Allah, it is a huge thing. The Prophet ﷺ said, that this love of the world is the reason for all the faults that you commit. So it is the head of all desires, this desire for the dunya. So some people have this desire, and some people have other desires. A lot of people have the desire for lust. And the scholars have said that the desire for lust is more prevalent in men than in women. That is why it is difficult for men to control their eyes. For women, it is not as difficult. So men have more desire towards lust and all these things. Women have more desire towards the things of the world. And this desire is becoming more and more prevalent in society. This desire for lust, this desire for fulfilling our lustful needs in a haram way. And if you call this, if you call the environment that we live in an environment of lust, it will not be wrong. There's an internet research company by the name of Webroot. They do internet research, and they did some research on pornography. And they said that there are 40 million Americans watching pornography regularly. 40 million Americans. Allah. imagine what is going to happen to these eyes. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that this Prophet said that casting a wrong glance is an error of the shaitan. The person who looks at the Na'mahana has come into the web of shaitan. He is overpowered by the shaitan. And in the same research article, this research company or research institute says that among all the emails that are disseminated throughout the world, 2.5 billion emails every day are disseminated containing pornographic stuff. 2.5 billion. Allah. There are 7 billion human beings on earth. 2.5 billion emails containing pornography is disseminated every day. So if you call the environment an environment of lust, it will not be wrong. That is why people who control their eyes in this environment will get another reward. The Prophet said that the one who controls his eyes, he will feel the sweetness of Iman in his heart. So that means if you control the eye, Iman is going to go up. You will love coming to the masjid. You will love doing sajda to Allah. You will love opening the Quran and all these things. And if the eye is looking all around, and if the eye is not looking where it's supposed to look at, then this desire for ibadah is also going to go down. Iman is going to go down. So some people have the desire for the worldly things. Some people have desire for lust. Some people have desire for anger. And we think that anger is not a desire, it's not something wrong. Because a lot of us, we think that, okay, fornication is wrong, looking at non-mahram is wrong, and then, missing prayers is wrong, stealing is wrong, and we also think that lying is wrong. All these things are wrong. Being angry is not that. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, fine, it is something we should not be doing, but we don't consider this as a very big sin. And the reality is that if you look in the Quran and Hadith, it seems like this is one of the biggest sins. Maybe the biggest sin. Because the Prophet said, Al-Ghazabul Yufsidul Iman. That this anger, it destroys your Iman. Allah. So not only that anger is haram, anger is something is a sin, it actually takes away your Iman. It's one of the biggest sins. That is why the Prophet said that there is no good in the person who is devoid of softness. So the person who's always angry all the time is like an animal. There's no good in him. And at the same time, the Prophet ﷺ said that the best one among you is the one who takes a very long time to become angry. And it takes him a very short time to become normal again. So some people have this desire for anger inside of them. So a friend of ours, he tells this story that there was a young man. There was a man in Pakistan, and he had a fight with his wife and became very angry. Now, 2-3 days passed, all his friends told him that, okay, it's fine now, we should become friends again. But he was not ready to become friends. So much so that many days passed, and he was supposed to go for Hajj that year. And his flight was about to go that day. And a lot of people, before going to Hajj, they make friends with everyone and they tell everyone that please forgive if I've done anything wrong, all of that. And even his anger was so much, even when he was leaving to go for Hajj, and the wife was staying back in Pakistan. He did not make friends with the wife, and he left. A few days later, when he arrived there, and a few days later it was time for Hajj, before the time of Hajj, people still call others and they WhatsApp and they say, okay, fine, I'm going for Hajj, please forgive me and all that. Even at that time, he did not make friends with the wife because he was just so angry. The anger was just not going down. Now what happens is that during Hajj, first day you spend in Mina, the second day you spend in Arafat, and at night of Arafat you spend in Muzdalifah. And then the third day you go and you stone the devil. And you stone the devil 7 times, right? And he goes to the devil and he stones him. And he stones the devil 6 times. And there was 1 stone left and he didn't stone the devil. So people in his group, they asked him, that there were 7 of them. You didn't stone all 7 of these stones and there's 1 stone left. He said, yes, I have saved this stone because the shaitan has a sister in Pakistan and I'm going to stone her. Oh, look at the amount of anger. Allah. So sometimes this anger is so much that even Hajj cannot prevent this anger. So different people have different desires. Some people have desire for lust. Some people have desire for the worldly things. Some people have this desire for being angry and unhappy with everything. Always complaining about, I have not been dealt with nicely. And this is not a small sin. It's one of the biggest sins. This anger and being unhappy. A lot of us, we think that just being angry all the time, being unhappy, being complaining all the time is going to help solve our problems. And we will get the neighbors or the mercy or the things of this world that we desire that we should get. This is not the path. The path of getting more barakah and neighbors of Allah is to actually thank Allah for what Allah has given you. Then Allah bestows more on you. So these desires have to be purified. So some people have the desire for lust, some people have desire for worldly things, some people have desire for anger. A lot of people have desire for different things. Some people have desire for talking all the time. Talking for hours and hours. If you call such a person, there you go, 1 hour gone. So sometimes talking is halal. You talk for hours and hours. Again, this is a desire. Some young people have this desire of sleeping all the time. Some people have this desire for eating all the time. And all the time, this food is just going through their minds. Sometimes a person is a very pious person, doesn't have any of these desires. But there's a hidden desire. Sometimes the desires are open, there's a hidden desire. And that desire enters those people who are actually considered pious people. And what is this desire? The desire to be known, the desire to become big. And this is the worst of all the desires. Why? Because if you want to become big, and if you want everyone to respect you, and if you want everyone to think that they are lower than you, and if you want to think that you're higher than everyone else, this means that you have arrogance inside of you. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "La yadkhulul jannah man kana fi qalbihi mithqala zarratin min kibr." Now that person is not even going to go into Jannah whose heart contains even an iota of arrogance. So some people have this desire. So this purification of the desire, this process has to start. You cannot think of it as something which is nothing. That okay, fine, if I don't do this, it's okay. Something has to be done about this. Something has to be done about these desires. So the question is, how do you purify these desires? And the scholars have said that there are 4 ways of doing it. And the first way is to actually use your willpower to control this desire. And the person who uses his willpower, who says to himself that, okay, I've been lying for so many years, now from tomorrow onwards I'm not going to lie. This is what willpower is. When you decide that, okay, fine, I'm not going to do this again. And sometimes when a person does this, Allah helps him. He's committing this sin for many years, but Allah stops him because he's showing willpower. That is why the Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-mujahidu man jahada nafsahu bi ta'atillah." That person is a mujahid who goes against his desires to obey Allah. So this going against the desires and praise in our deeds. The one way is to show willpower. And willpower is the single most important ingredient of success. There's a psychologist by the name of Walter Fisher, a psychologist, who was a very big psychologist in the 60s, and he did research on willpower. And what was his research? It was very interesting research. And his research was so liked by people that there was a team of psychologists that conducted this research on 1,000 kids. His research was on some kids. Then he gathered some kids and he gave them the option that if you want, I can give you one marshmallow right now. But if you wait for half an hour, I'll give you 2 marshmallows. Now kids are crazy about sweets. So he said, those who will show willpower, they will have to wait for half an hour. And most of the kids, they had no willpower. They just like, I just want my marshmallow now. And they just took their marshmallow and started. But there were some who stopped and thought to themselves, well, okay, fine, if I wait for half an hour, I'll get 2 of these. Right? So they waited for half an hour. So then he jotted down the names. And he tracked them. He says that he tracked them for 32 years. Till they actually went through their young age and they actually stepped into older age. And he said that after tracking these 2 groups, a group of people who did not show willpower, a group of people who showed willpower. And he said that those who showed willpower and who did not show willpower, there were 7 very big differences between these groups. When they grew up and when they spent their life, I saw 7 differences. And then this team of psychologists in New Zealand confirmed that these 7 differences remain. And he said the first difference between those who did not show willpower and those who showed willpower was that those who did not have willpower, they were overweight, they were fat. Their weight was more than regular. That's the first thing. That is why those people who lose weight, who control their body, they should be praised. It's an Islamic thing to do. A lot of people just think that this is a modern thing to do, to lose weight. No, the Prophet liked it. But people had big tummies, the Prophet didn't like it. And when they would lose weight, the Prophet would praise them. So he said that there were 7 differences between these 2 groups. Those who had willpower, they were less in weight. Those who did not have willpower, they were overweight. And the second thing, he said that those who did not have willpower, they were less academically qualified. A lot of them were just dropouts in middle school and high school. And those who had willpower, most of them completed college. The third thing he said, that those who did not have willpower, they were less in their wealth. They had less wealth, they had less income. Those who had willpower, they had more wealth and more income. And the fourth thing he said, that those who did not have willpower, their marriages also failed. So a lot of them were single parents. And those who had willpower, their marriages remained. A lot of them were, they lived with their couples, they lived with their wives for a very long time. And the fifth thing he said, that those who did not have willpower, they were more prone to drug and alcohol addiction. And those who had willpower, were less prone to alcohol addiction and drug addiction. The last thing that he said was amazing. He said, those who did not have willpower, these are the people in the society who do criminal acts. And those people who have willpower, they don't go towards criminal activity. So at the end of his article, he says this thing, that willpower is the single most important ingredient of success. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says 1400 years ago. But successful is the one who purifies his desire, who goes against his desires. So one way of purifying the soul is just to show your power. That okay, from tomorrow onwards, I'm not going to miss Fajr prayers. From tomorrow onwards, I'm not going to lie. From tomorrow onwards, my mind is not going to go everywhere. But sometimes it is difficult. So people ask, is there an easy way to purify the heart? To purify the nafs, to purify the desires? And the Mashayikh said that there's another way also. That if this is not possible, another way is to do the remembrance of Allah. Because the Prophet ﷺ said that zikrullahi shifa'ul qulub. The remembrance of Allah is the cure for the heart. And a lot of scholars have said that the zikr of Allah is a magical thing. Why? Because a person is ready to commit the biggest of sins, and here he starts remembering Allah, he starts coming to the masjid, he starts praying, and automatically he says, oh no, I do not do this sin. Nobody's forcing him to do this. What has happened to him? The zikr of Allah has had a magic on his heart, and his desires have cooled down. So one way of purifying the desire is to do the remembrance of Allah. And the remembrance of Allah is not a specific thing. The person who makes a lot of dua is doing the remembrance of Allah. A person who's reading a lot of nawafil prayers is doing the remembrance of Allah. A person who's reciting a lot of compound is doing the remembrance of Allah. A person who's doing a lot of astaghfar is doing the remembrance of Allah. A person who's saying a lot of salawat on the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is also doing the remembrance of Allah. So it's not something very specific. You can do any form of remembrance. It should just be that it should be Allah and you. But sometimes this is also difficult. So people ask, is there any easier way of purifying these desires? And the scholars have answered this question also. There's a way which is easier, and it is sometimes even more effective than any other way. And what is that way? And that way is to go in the company of pious people, to sit in those majalis where Allah is being talked about. The Prophet said, it is obligatory on you to spend time in the majalis of the scholars and of the pious people. So in the hadith it comes that people gather from different areas. And the purpose is to remember Allah and to talk about Allah. And so people gather like this. Angels descend on these majalis. And there are so many in numbers. There are in billions and billions. There are so many in numbers that they fill up the heaven. And they go beyond the heaven up to the throne of Allah, where Allah asks them, and what are these people doing? And the angels reply, oh Allah, they're sitting there talking about you, remembering you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks, okay, so what do they want? And they reply, oh Allah, they want that you forgive them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, oh angels, you bear witness that I have forgiven each and every one of them. So these going into these beautiful majalis where people are talking about Allah, where people are giving good advice, that also purifies the desires. That is one. And there are some people whose sometimes a single sentence changes the heart. So Zazan was a very big scholar of Islam at the time of Sahaba. But in the earlier years, his life was a life of neglectfulness. He was a singer, and he used to sing songs, and at that time there used to be an instrument, he used to play that song, play that instrument. And some people used to like his songs, so he would also like it, and people used to praise him, and people used to think that, he sings very well. But because it was the time of piety, of Sahaba. So Zazan also knew in his mind, this is wrong, I should not be doing this. So what he used to do was that he used to actually do do his singing and his playing, whatever that instrument was, away from the pious people. See, we make sure that no pious person is looking at him while he's singing and while he's playing his instrument. Once he was sitting there singing, and a few friends were listening to him, and the majlis of songs was going on. At that very moment, he saw that there was a very pious man started walking past by there. So he became very disturbed. Why is this, this person who looks like a very big scholar to me, why is he walking past by just close to this majlis that is taking place of singing and, playing that instrument and all that? So he became very concerned, and he saw that this person who looked like a scholar walked, and he stopped. This made him even more concerned. Why did he stop? Then he saw very closely what is going on. He saw that this man is saying something. He became even more scared that maybe he's doing some, maybe he's doing some dua against me or something. So he became so disturbed that he told everyone that today I'm going to wrap it up and I will not sing today. Maybe if I get a chance, I will sing for you another time. So the whole thing was, finished. And he walked up to this man sitting all the way at the end. And he asked him, who was this person? This pious man, this man of Allah who was walking past pious. He said, you don't know who this person was? He said, no. He said, he was the companion of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu. He said, this was Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. And I was singing in front of him. Allah, he became very upset. That all my life I planned it in such a way that nobody would listen to my songs. No, none of the pious people should listen to my songs. And here, the Sahabi of the Messenger has listened to my songs. And then he asked, what was he saying? He said, yes, he stopped. And he said, that what a beautiful voice this is. I wish this voice was used for the recitation of the Quran. As soon as he heard this, tears started flowing from Zazan's eyes. He asked, where does Abdullah ibn Mas'ud live? He said, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud lives, at that, in such and such a place. So he went to his house, and he knocked at the door. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, he came outside. And he said to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, that Shaykh, you know what? I am the person in whose majlis you said that this voice is very beautiful, and you wish that this voice was used for the recitation of the Quran. He said, I promise to you from now onwards, this voice will only be used for the recitation of the Quran. So sometimes there are certain people, just one sentence changes all the desires. So one way of purifying these desires is to go in the company of pious people. A lot of people here in the US and also back home, Pakistan, everywhere, parents are concerned that the children are going all the other way. And they're not going to Islam. And how should I change them? And we're always getting into fights with our children. Sometimes he's missing prayers, sometimes he's doing something on the internet, sometimes he has a girlfriend, sometimes he's involved in drugs and all of these things. So how do we change all of that? And the answer is the same answer as was 1,000 years ago. You bring them to pious majalis, and this is going to have an effect on their hearts. There's no need to fight with them. Just bring them to those majalis of the scholars, and they sit down every once in a while. It's going to have an effect. So there are 4 ways the scholars have said how to purify the heart, how to purify the desires. One is to show willpower. The second one is to do the remembrance of Allah. And the third one, and the easiest one of them all, is to go and sit in the company of pious people. But sometimes this is also not available. Then there's a fourth thing. And what is that? It is to make dua to Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when somebody makes dua, Allah ta'ala says, make dua to me and I'm going to accept your dua. The Prophet ﷺ said that for the one, Allah opens the doors of dua. Allah also opens the doors of mercy for that person. Somehow or the other, the person is making more du'as, somehow or the other, his problems get solved. So we consider dua as something which is nothing. Let me tell you, the person who makes more du'as, he does his farais also in a better way. One last story that I'm going to read my talk today. There's a big businessman in Karachi, and he gave this account himself. He said that different people have different desires. My desire was alcohol, and I was such an alcoholic that I would just love alcohol. I would want to drink alcohol all the time. And he said that people did not consider me as a very bad person, as an alcoholic, because I had a beard on my face. And Allah has given me a lot of wealth, so I go to the Haramain al-Sharif every year, sometimes once a year, sometimes even twice a year. So people used to think that I'm a pious man. And my condition was such that sometimes when I would be coming back from Umrah, and if the airline is serving alcohol, in that airline I would desire that I should have some alcohol. This was my condition. And there was no way I could leave alcohol. And he said, once the whole family planned that we'd go for Umrah, the morning that we had our flight, that evening, I went with my friends and the whole night I spent drinking. And I said to myself, in the next 2-3 weeks I may not be able to drink because I'm in South Europe. So let's just do it this time. And then when I came back home in the morning around Fajr time, I was totally intoxicated. And when my wife saw me, she said, what a terrible person you are. But the morning you have to go visit the house of Allah, and the night you're spending like this. And he said, I told my wife to shut up, because I was in a state of intoxication. So she kept quiet. But this thing remained in my mind, that yes, I'm the worst person of all, and I cannot control this desire. And he says himself that when I wore the ihram to go to Karachi airport, he said when I wore the ihram, the alcohol was not even out of my body. And I went to the Karachi airport. And Jeddah is 4 hours of flight from Karachi. So he said in the afternoon we were in Jeddah, and in the evening we were in Makkah. So the whole family went to the hotel, put our bags, and the whole family went to the Haram for Umrah. And when we went for Umrah, we did Tawaf, we did Sa'i, and I was very sad all the time. And when I saw these hundreds and thousands of people, I thought to myself that among all these thousands of people here, I am the worst one. Nobody has done what I have done. And then the Umrah was over, and then he said, all the things were telling me that we want to go back to the hotel room. I said, okay, you guys go back home to the hotel. I need to stay here. And he said, I stayed there. And for a very long time, I was sitting there thinking, what should I say to Allah? What can I tell Allah? Then he said that I don't know what came to my mind when I went to the house of Allah, on the door of the Kaaba, and I held that door, and then I made this dua. And listen to the words of his duas. He said, oh Allah, today I'm not here to tell you that I'm going to leave this alcohol. Because I've said this many, many times, but I don't leave alcohol. Oh Allah, today I'm here to tell you that if you want me to leave alcohol, I present myself to you. Allah. So this was his dua. And he said it has been 17 years now. An alcoholic like me has not touched alcohol in 17 years. So sometimes when we make dua, Allah changes the heart, purifies the heart. This purification of the heart, the purification of the desire, is an obligation upon all of us. We make dua to Allah, help us purify our nafs, our desire. desires, and make us among those sinners who have been forgiven by you. Before we make dua, there's a small machine that I would like to recite. My friend today, I'm sure, used to recite this machine, and I will recite it for you as well, inshallah. Hava hirs wala dil badal de, hava hirs wala dil badal de, मेरा मतलब में डूबा दिल बदल दे दिल की दुनिया दिल बदल दे दिल की दुनिया दिल बदल दे करम फरमा खुदाया दिल बदल दे गुनाहगारी में कब तक उम्र काटूं गुनाहगारी में कब तक उम्र काटूं बदल दे तेरा रास्ता दिल बदल दे सुनूं मैं नाम तेरा धड़कनों में सुनूं मैं नाम तेरा धड़कनों में मजा आ जाए मौला दिल बदल दे तेरा हो जाऊं इतनी आरज़ू है तेरा हो जाऊं इतनी आरज़ू है बस इतनी है तमन्ना दिल बदल दे मेरी फरियाद सुन ले मेरे मौला तेरी फरियाद सुन ले मेरे मौला बना ले अपना बंदा दिल बदल दे जो तेरा सामना हो रोज़े महशर जो तेरा सामना हो रोज़े महशर तू देखे मुस्कुरा कर दिल बदल दे हवाओं से वाला दिल बदल दे मेरा गफलत में डूबा दिल बदल दे मेरा गफलत में डूबा दिल बदल दे ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मुहम्मद रसूलुल्लाह दुआ कर लीजिए सुभान रब्बिल वहाब اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم إنا نسألك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب عمل الذي يقربني على حبك. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اے اللہ ہم آپ کے عاجز مسکین بندے ہیں، اللہ ہمارے گناہوں کو معاف فرما، ہماری خطاؤں سے درگزر فرما، ہمارے عیبوں کی پردہ پوشی فرما، اللہ برے دن سے محفوظ فرما، اللہ بری رات سے محفوظ فرما، میرے مالک برے کاموں سے محفوظ فرما، اے اللہ ہمیں برے انجام سے محفوظ فرما، اللہ ہدایت ملنے کے بعد گمراہی سے محفوظ فرما، میرے مالک سیدھا رستہ ملنے کے بعد بھٹکنے سے محفوظ فرما، اللہ قرب حاصل ہو جانے کے بعد اپنی دوری سے محفوظ فرما، میرے مالک نعمتیں مل جانے کے بعد نعمتوں کے چھن جانے سے محفوظ فرما، اللہ عزتیں ملنے کے بعد ذلت سے محفوظ فرما، میرے مالک در در کے دھکے کھانے سے محفوظ فرما، اللہ نفس و شیطان کے مکر و فریب سے محفوظ فرما، اللہ آپ کے پیارے محبوب نے فرمایا گناہوں سے توبہ کرنے والا ایسا ہی ہے کہ جیسے اس نے گناہ کیا ہی نہ تھا، میرے مالک ہماری آج کی اس توبہ کو قبول فرما، آج کی اس توبہ کو قبول فرما، اللہ جو گناہ دل میں کیے انہیں معاف فرما، اللہ جو گناہ راتوں میں کیے انہیں معاف فرما، اللہ جو گناہ چھپ کے کیے اللہ ان گناہوں کو بھی معاف فرما، میرے مالک جو گناہ محفلوں میں کیے اللہ ان گناہوں کو بھی معاف فرما، میرے مالک ہم گناہوں کی نجاست میں لکھے ہوئے ہیں، اللہ ہمارے حال پر رحم فرما، اللہ ماں جب اپنے بچے کو نجاست میں لکھنا دیکھتی ہے اللہ اس سے نفرت نہیں کرتی، میرے مالک اسے دھو دیتی ہے، سینے سے لگا دیتی ہے، اللہ آپ نے ہمیں گناہوں کی نجاست میں دیکھ رہے ہیں، میرے مالک آپ کی نفرت نہ فرمائے، اللہ ہمیں دھو دیجئے، اللہ اپنے مقبول بندوں میں شامل فرما لیجئے، اللہ آپ کو ناراض نہیں کرنا چاہتے، میرے مالک بس کمزور ہیں، اللہ کبھی شیطان ہمیں غلط راستوں پہ ڈال دیتا ہے، اللہ کبھی ہماری خواہشات ہمیں غلط راستوں پہ لے جاتی ہے، اے اللہ ہمارے لیے گناہ چھوڑنا بڑا مشکل کام ہو گیا، اللہ آپ کے لیے گناہ چھپانا آسان ہے، میرے مالک گناہوں سے پاک زندگی نصیب فرما، گناہگاری میں کب تک عمر کاٹوں، گناہگاری میں کب تک عمر کاٹوں، بدل دے میرا رستہ دل بدل دے، اس والا دل بدل دے، میرا غفلت میں ڈوبا دل بدل دے، رحمت کا معاملہ فرما، میرے مالک میں نیک نہ بن سکا، اللہ تیرے نیکوں میں آ کے بیٹھ گیا، اللہ نیک نہ بن سکا، اللہ نیکوں میں آیا بیٹھا، اللہ ان نیکوں کی برکت سے اللہ ہمیں بھی نیکی نصیب فرما، اللہ ان نیکوں کی برکت سے اللہ ہمیں بھی اپنی محبت کا ایک قطرہ نصیب فرما، اللہ اپنے پیارے محبوب کی محبت نصیب فرما، اللہ نماز کی حضوری نصیب فرما، اللہ سجدے کا سرور نصیب فرما، میرے مالک رات کے آخری پہر کے مناجات کی لذت نصیب فرما، اللہ تیرے کیسے بندے ہوتے ہیں رات کے آخری پہر میں تیرے سامنے ہاتھ پھیلاتے ہیں تو انہیں انکار نہیں کرتا، اللہ تیرے کیسے بندے ہوتے ہیں رات کے آخری پہر میں تیرے سامنے محبت بھرے سجدے کرتے ہیں تو ان کے تذکرے اپنے فرشتوں میں کرتا ہے، میرے مالک ہمیں بھی ان کو شامل فرما، اللہ رحمت کا معاملہ فرما، اے اللہ جنہوں نے دعاؤں کے لیے کہا اللہ ان کو بھی دعاؤں میں شامل فرما، اے اللہ جو گھر کی ناچاکیوں کی وجہ سے پریشان اللہ ان کی پریشانیوں کو بھی دور فرما. اللہ جو کام کاروبار کی وجہ سے پریشان، اللہ ان کی پریشانیوں کو بھی دور فرما. اللہ جو اولاد کی وجہ سے پریشان، اللہ ان کی پریشانیوں کو بھی دور فرما. اللہ اولاد کے غموں سے محفوظ فرما. اللہ اولاد کے دکھوں سے محفوظ فرما. میرے والد جو اپنی صحت کی وجہ سے پریشان، اللہ ان کی پریشانیوں کو بھی دور فرما. اللہ بچہ جب پریشان ہوتا ہے، ماں باپ کی طرف دوڑتا ہے. اللہ بندہ جب پریشان ہوتا ہے، پروردگار کی طرف دوڑتا ہے. اے بے قصوں کے دستگیر، اے ٹوٹے دلوں کو تسلی دینے والے، اے خالی جھولیوں کو بھرنے والے، اے زمین اور آسمان پہ اپنا راج قائم کرنے والے، میرے مالک رحمت کا معاملہ فرما. اللہ ان کے ہاتھوں کی بات فرما. اللہ اس بندے پہ کوئی حسرت نہیں جو کسی اور در سے خالی ہاتھ ہو جائے. اللہ حسرت تو اس پر ہے جو یہاں آپ کے گھر میں آئے، یہاں سے بھی خالی ہاتھ لوٹ گئے. اللہ خالی ہاتھ لوٹنے سے محفوظ فرما. اللہ اس در کے سوا ہمارے پاس کوئی اور در ہی نہیں. اللہ اپنے در سے خالی ہاتھ نہ لوٹا. اللہ کس سے مانگے، کہاں جائے، کس سے کہے، کس سے مانگے، کہاں جائے، کس سے کہے. اور دنیا میں حاجت روا کون ہے؟ سب کا داتا ہے تو، سب کو دیتا ہے تو. تیرے بندوں کا تیرے سوا کون ہے؟ رحمت کا معاملہ فرما. اللہ کے ہاتھوں کی لاج فرما. میرے مالک جیسا آپ ہم سے راضی ہوتے ہیں، میرے مالک ہمیں ویسا بننے کی توفیق عطا فرما. اللہ دل کی ایک بڑی تمنا ہے، اللہ اس سے پہلے کہ موت آ جائے، اے اللہ ہمیں اپنی رضا نصیب فرما. اللہ پہلے ہم سے راضی ہونا، میرے مالک پھر موت عطا کرنا. اللہ پہلے راضی ہونا، میرے مالک پھر موت عطا کرنا. اے اللہ اپنی رحمتوں کا سایہ عطا فرما. اللہ اس مسجد پہ اپنی خاص رحمتیں برکت نازل فرما. اللہ جتنے لوگ اس کی انتظامیہ میں کوششیں کر رہے ہیں، جو لوگ یہاں نماز پڑھنے آتے ہیں، جو یہاں اپنے بچوں کو داخل کیے ہوئے ہیں، اللہ ہر آنے والے کے اب دل کو تقویٰ سے منور فرما. میرے مالک اپنی رحمتوں کا سایہ عطا فرما. اللہ ہمارے دین و حرم کی حفاظت فرما. اللہ ہمیں بار بار اپنے گھر کا دیدار نصیب فرما. اللہ اپنے پیارے محبوب کے در کی حاضری نصیب فرما. اے اللہ ہمارے عزیز اقارب، رشتہ دار، مشائخ، اساتذہ، والدین جو بھی اس دنیا سے فوت ہو چکے ہیں، جو حیات، اللہ ان سب کی مغفرت فرما. اللہ جن کی مغفرت فرما دی، اپنے قرب کے اعلیٰ درجات نصیب فرما. ربنا تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم، تب علينا انك انت التواب الرحيم. وصلى الله تعالى على حبيبه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.